Hi, friends, and welcome to the Get Started video. My name is Ernie. I'm one of the teachers around here at YNAB, and I'm super excited to walk through setting up YNAB from start to finish. Now, let me tell you a little bit about how this is going to go. First off, it's going to be long, but you don't have to watch the whole thing. Use the chapters below to skip around to the topics that you need. And the other thing is I'm going to try to go really slow. I want to make sure because there's a lot that, and I want to make sure that you can absorb this material. If I'm going too slow, speed up the video. If I'm going too fast, you can definitely slow it down even more. Oh, and then one other thing, I'm focusing on getting started. So, really, I'm just giving you an intro into a lot of these topics. But if we have a video that does a deep dive, I'm going to make sure that I link it in this video. And those links are going to appear in the upper right hand corner. So be sure to use those if you want to go deeper with a particular topic. Sound like a plan? Let's get started. And I'm really excited to head on over to both the web app and the mobile app to show you how to get started and set things up in YNAB. But I want to start by talking through the YNAB method because the YNAB method is the most important piece in all of this. And the method is really simple. Give every dollar a job. So, what you're going to be doing is telling your money what it needs to do for you before you spend it. That's it. That is the YNAB method. And the way it looks right away in YNAB, when you add your accounts, you're going to take those dollars, that money that is available to you right now, today at your bank, and you're going to give jobs to each and every one. You're telling that money, here's what you need to do for me before I spend you. And then from there, you're going to be working that YNAB method every single time you're paid. And that's another great thing about YNAB is it works with any pay cycle. Because the key in all of this is you're not forecasting dollars. You're not thinking about those next paychecks. You're just dealing with reality. You're just dealing with what you have right now. And then, like I said, every time you're paid, when new money comes in, it's telling that new pile of money, here's what you need to do for me going forward. And as you repeat this method, paycheck after paycheck after paycheck, you're going to find that the second guessing you've always had with money goes away. No longer are you going to wonder, can I afford this? Because you're going to look at YNAB and you're going to know with confidence and clarity, yeah, either I can or I can't. You're not going to wonder, do I have enough money to pay the credit card? Or how much can I put towards my credit card bill? The method, giving every dollar a job, eliminates all of that second guessing. And I think this is going to become very evident as I walk through this demo, showing you how to set everything up. So let's head on over to the web app. And as we do that, remember, everything is about giving every dollar a job. So always keep that in mind. Okay, here we are in the web app. And for those of you that use mobile, I'll be flipping back and forth between the two apps so you can get a feel for this. Big picture, let's just break down this screen because there's a lot going on. On the left are your accounts. And those accounts, your cash accounts, they're telling you how much money you have. Or with credit cards, they're telling you how much money you owe. On the right are your categories. Those categories are a simple representation of how you spend and save. And then at the top, in your ready to assign box, are the dollars that you have available to assign. And when you have money and ready to assign, that kicks off the YNAB method, giving every dollar a job. I'm going to tell that money, here's what you need to do for me. So I will start assigning it, allocating it across my categories. So I could very quickly start assigning that $3,140 across all these categories. And then once that ready to assign is at zero, I'll have myself a plan. And I could do that in just a couple minutes. You could as well. But I want to make this assigning as simple as possible. So, a couple things that I'm going to do out of the gate. First, I'm going to customize my categories. Second, I'm going to add targets to those categories. So, let's talk about the categories. Like I said, they are a simple representation of how you spend and save. They are a reflection of your values, your life, your priorities. So make them your own. Oh, and the other thing that's worth saying too, the categories, they serve as a place to assign money and then also to track your spending in that area. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to make them your own. And you have complete control over the look and feel of those categories. You can change the name of any category. And when I say category, I also mean group. Those are the main category headers. So if I just click on that mortgage category, that's where I can change the name. I can add an emoji, I can remove an emoji. I can also delete categories. So get rid of the ones that you don't need. If you need a new category, you hover over the group where you want that category and you hit that plus button. If you need a new group, you hit that category group button in the upper left. And then the other thing that you can do with these categories and these groups to make them your own is you can put them in whatever order makes the most sense. And on the web app, I'm going to click and I'm going to drag that phone category wherever I want. So you can drag it between groups. Again, you can customize these categories however you want. So go ahead and do that. My advice here, do not shoot for perfection. You're not trying to get this perfectly curated list of all the things that you spend and save money on. Because, well, one, that's just impossible to do. But two, your life is constantly going to be changing. So you're going to find that these categories and these groups, they change regularly. And that is totally okay. That is normal. All right, the other thing that we're going to do before we start assigning the money to our categories is we're going to add targets. Targets are how we plan in YNAB. It's how you tell a category, here's how much money I want to assign, and here's when I want to assign the money by. So take, for example, my auto loan category. With that target, I know that I have to set aside $375 by May 28th. And then the category is yellow to remind me to actually assign that amount by that date. So, what I love about targets is it gets all that information into YNAB. No longer do I have to try to remember it. I don't have to pull it from my bank statements or my spreadsheets. It's in YNAB, so when I get paid, I know exactly how much I want to put into a category and when I need to put that money in by. And then the nice thing about these targets, they carry over. So you only have to create them once. So for example, when I flip forward to June, those targets are still in place. Now, I'm going to give you the same piece of advice that I gave you with categories. Don't shoot for perfection with these targets. You can guess at these amounts. You know, maybe you're looking at your groceries category and you're like, man, I have no idea how much I need to set aside for groceries every single month. Well, just take your best guess. You know, start off with 800, and then as time goes on and you start collecting more data about how much you're actually spending in groceries, then you can edit the targets. You can edit those targets at any point in time. All right, let me show you how to set up and use the various targets that we have. So we'll start here in the phone category. I have that selected. Over on in my target menu on the right here, I'm going to create target. And then the first thing I need to decide is how often I need money in that category. So what's the frequency? And for my phone bill, I need the money monthly. How much do I need? $140. Remember, you can guess at these amounts and then you can edit them later on. Don't shoot for perfection. And then I need the money by what's today? May 19th. Let's say my phone bill is always due on the 21st of the month. So those first three pieces of information have me set up for this month in May. This last piece of information sets me up in June and beyond. YNAB is wondering, how do you want this category to behave going forward? And in June and beyond, I want to repeat the process that I just did in May. I want to set aside another $140. So I save that target and there we go. I need $140 by May 21st. Category is yellow to remind me to actually set aside that amount. And then when I flip forward to June, you can see that that target resets itself. So then in June, I'm going to be prompted to set aside $140 by June 21st. Perfect. All right, let's go to the groceries category. Another monthly expense here. Over on the right, create target. And I'm going to tell YNAB how much every single month I need for groceries. And again, absolutely okay to guess. Maybe some of you, you go shopping to the store same day every week. You could use that weekly target, right? You tell the category, here's how much I want for groceries every single week. I'm going to stick with the monthly. And let's say I need $800. I'm going to tell YNAB I need that $800 by the last day of the month, because maybe at first, when I first set up YNAB, I don't have the full amount to assign. That is okay. Maybe I know as I get paid throughout the month, I'm going to use those individual paychecks to fill up that category over the course of a month. So this gives me 30, 31 days to set money aside, to set that amount aside for groceries. So I like the last day of the month option. Now, here's where it's going to be a little bit different than the phone category. For what I want this category to do next month, I'm going to tell YNAB to refill up to $800. Because here's the thing, with categories like groceries, eating out, transportation, electric, stuff like that, I might have money left over at the end of the month. And that money will automatically roll over. Available dollars always automatically roll over into the next month. And with that refill option, that leftover rolled over money is going to contribute to the next month target amount. So, for example, if I have $20 left over in groceries in May, that $20 rolls over into June. And then on June 1st, YNAB's going to go, okay, it's a new month. You want another $800 for groceries. But what? Wait, I see that you have $20 left over. So you don't need 800 now. You need 780 because you got the 20 left over from May. You'll put in another 780. That refill up to option is going to get you to that 800 target amount that you want every single month. So that refill up to option is like a gas tank. It's going to take the leftover and then you're just topping it off next month. So you might want to use that. Now, if you want to keep it really, really simple, you could build your entire plan using the set aside another. And I actually suggest that at first. And then as you get used to YNAB and as time goes on and you got a better idea of what you're assigning and what you're spending, then you can play with those targets a little bit more. You can fine tune them using that refill up to option. But I at least wanted to cover it in this video. Okay, perfect. Oh, I actually didn't follow through with that. So let's do that. 800, last day of the month, set aside. Nope, I'm going to do the refill up to. And there we go. Category's yellow. There's the amount. There's the date. Perfect. So I used a target for my monthly bills and expenses. I'm going to show you a couple other examples. And let's walk through an example of setting up a target for a non-monthly bill or expense. So this would be for all those things that you don't spend money on every single month. And this is where I actually think targets are the most helpful because, generally you don't have to be reminded to set money aside for your monthly stuff. You remember that. We all remember that. It's the non-monthly. That's the stuff that often I forget about, and maybe you as well. So with the target in place, now we can get that nice monthly reminder to make sure that we're proactively setting money aside for those things so that when they happen, we're ready. So, example time, car insurance. Let's say I pay my car insurance premium every year, every October, and it's $1,200. And I want YNAB to basically break up that yearly bill into a monthly amount. So, over on the right, create target. I'm going to choose that yearly option. Now, if your non-monthly bill or expense is, something outside of the yearly, monthly, weekly cadence, you can use this custom option, every 3 months, every 6 months. So you got some flexibility there. I need $1,200 for that annual bill, and I need it by October. And the actual date doesn't matter. I'm just going to say October 1st. And then next year, so once I pay the premium in October, what do I want to do in my car insurance category starting in November? And starting in November, I want to repeat the process all over again, the process of setting aside $1,200 for the premium next year in 2026. So there we go. Save that target, and then YNAB takes that large amount of money that I want in the future and it breaks it down into this nice monthly amount. So here's the workflow. I'm getting paid. Paychecks are coming in each month. As I go to assign jobs to those dollars, I'm going to see the yellow alert in my car insurance premium category. That's going to be my reminder. Oh, yeah, car insurance. That's due this fall. Let's make sure I stay on track by setting aside $200. Once I assign the money, those dollars will be available. And since I won't be spending them, they will automatically roll over into June. And then in my June plan, I will assign another 200. So I'll have 400 available. So month after month after month, as you put money in those categories, especially the non-monthly categories, you're going to watch as those category balances grow. And then the best part, once that car insurance bill actually lands, once it hits my inbox or my mailbox, I'm going to look at YNAB and I'm going to see, whoa, I've got the money already set aside. I don't have to scramble to come up with $1,200 or pull money from savings or put it on the credit card and figure out how I'm going to pay off that later on. The money's just sitting there waiting and ready to go. I love that. All right, one other example. Let me show you what to do, how to use these targets for any long-term savings that you have. Let's say I need a new roof, but I don't need it right now. I'm thinking, oh, maybe about 3 years from now. And I know that's going to cost me $15,000. So categories selected, create target. Now, I don't need the money weekly, monthly, or yearly. It's custom. I need $15,000 and I want to have a balance of $15,000. So this have a balance option is only available if you use the custom option. And then if you want, you can tell YNAB when you want that money by. So let's say I want it by June 2028. And then just like with car insurance, YNAB takes that large amount of money and it breaks it down into this nice monthly amount. All right. So what I have done is gone through and customized my categories, and I've added a target to each one. You do not have to add a target to every single category before you get started in YNAB. Eventually, yes, you want to get to a place where there's a target on all those categories, but right out of the gate, it's not necessary. If that seems a little overwhelming, take it slow. Maybe month one, your first 34 days, you start by adding targets to two of your categories. And then next month, maybe you add targets to all your monthly bills, right? So you can build out those targets over time. All right, I want to now talk about setting up credit cards. Specifically, what to do with that balance that you brought into YNAB. Making a decision about how to handle that current credit card balance is the first decision that you need to make about credit cards in YNAB. So let me set up a couple cards for you. And this is only going to be an introduction to credit cards. Definitely check out this link in the upper right-hand corner about setting up credit cards from start to finish. So I hit that add account button. You can link your credit card to your bank. I'm going the unlinked route. I have a Visa. I'm going to choose that credit card account type. And since this is an unlinked account, I need to enter this balance myself. So let's say as of today, I owe Visa $150. Now here's what YNAB does. First, it adds the account on the left, and then to the right of the account is my credit card register. This is where I'm going to record my credit card spending and my credit card payments. As soon as that account is added, let's go to the plan. YNAB creates in the plan a matching category for that credit card account. So we call this the credit card payment category. And the purpose of this category is to give you a place to keep track of how much money you have available for your next credit card payment. So notice the difference between those two numbers, between your payment number and your balance. They represent different things. The balance, that's what you owe. That payment number is what you currently have set aside for that next payment. So I owe Visa $150. And right now, according to the plan, I don't have any money set aside for that next payment. And that's why that category is yellow. YNAB's trying to get my attention. Over here on the right, YNAB is telling me, Ernie, you need to assign $150 more to pay off your current balance. So now it's decision time. I need to make a decision about that current balance. How am I going to handle it with my next payment? Am I going to pay that all the way down to zero? Am I going to pay that in full? Or am I paying that over time? So in this case, the Visa is my pay in full card. And when I say pay in full, I mean I'm paying that balance all the way down to zero, or I'm paying the statement balance. In either case, I treat the credit card in YNAB the exact same, meaning I always want to have enough money available to pay that balance down to zero at any point in time. And then what I actually pay is totally up to me. So, yes, the next time I make a payment, I want to make sure that I have money set aside to cover that entire balance. So, I am going to let that payment category do what it is currently doing. Remind me to set aside $150. So I don't need to do anything to the payment category for my Visa. It's set up to remind me exactly what I want it to do. Let's add another account. This is my Discover. And let's say with Discover, I owe $2,400. Same thing. YNAB adds the account on the left, and then in the plan, there is my Discover payment category. That is yellow. Ernie, you need to assign $2,400 more to pay off your current balance. It's decision time again. How am I going to handle that current balance of $2,400? Now, in this case, let's say I'm paying off my Discover over time. So looking at that current balance, I know that I can't pay it off this month or actually anytime soon. So I do not want YNAB every single month reminding me to set aside the total amount that I currently owe because I'm not going to be able to do that. And that's not helpful. It's not motivating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a debt payoff target. I'm going to tell YNAB, here's the amount that I want to send as a payment every single month. So I'm going to switch this to the pay specific amount monthly. This is of the two credit card payment targets. This is my favorite one, but you're not locked in. You can always switch back and forth between the two if you want to do some experimenting. And let's say up to this point, I've been trying to send Discover $300. Enter in that amount, save that target. Now notice this. The Discover payment category is still yellow. No change there. But notice the amount that YNAB is prompting me to set aside. It's no longer that entire balance. It's now the amount that I told YNAB, here's my goal. So now every single month, YNAB will prompt me to set aside $300. And it will do this month after month until eventually I get to the point where I've paid off that entire Discover balance. Again, that's just an intro to credit cards. If you want to do that deep dive, be sure you check out that full credit card video that I linked to at the beginning of this chapter. All right, I've gone ahead, added my categories, added those targets. Now, if you want, you can do a reality check on that plan. And the way I'm going to do that is by looking at this cost to be me over here on the right. So the cost to be me, $6,029.74. What that number represents is the total of all these monthly target amounts. So YNAB is adding up each individual monthly target and telling me that to assign money to all my categories, I need just a little bit over $6,000. So now what I can do is enter my expected income and do a reality check. Let's say every month, my wife Christy and I get around $6,200. Save that. And I can see, all right, this plan, it's realistic. I've got a little bit of margin here. And now what I can do is I can tweak this a little bit. I can fine tune it. I can maybe up these target amounts a little bit, trying to get the May target number a little bit closer to my expected income, but I don't have to do that. Or if my May targets were more than my expected income, I could fine tune it, go in, dial some of those category targets back if I wanted to. All right, let me hop over to mobile because like I said, everything that I was doing over in the web app, I can do on the mobile app as well. And I'm on an iPhone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap edit mode in the upper right-hand corner. And now I've got this one-stop shop for all my categories and all my targets. So here are my categories, and I can customize those just like I can on the web app. I can just tap on that category. I can change the name, add emojis, take them off, delete the category. If I want to add a new category, just hit that plus button right there. And then I can also edit the individual targets. And then once I've gone ahead and done that, then I can look at my cost to be me at the very top of the mobile app. There's the what it how much money is required to fund all my categories, and it's comparing it to my expected income. Perfect. All right. Now that I've done a little bit of customizing of those categories and I've added some targets, now the real YNABing can begin. Remember, YNAB is all about giving jobs to your money, telling your money, your actual dollars, here's what you need to do for me. So now I can take the money I have and ready to assign and I can just start allocating each and every dollar across my categories. Now, let's back it up a little bit and talk about how YNAB actually brings money into ready to assign. So when I added my checking account, and this is true whether you add it as an unlinked account or you link that account directly to your financial institution, YNAB brings in the starting balance. That is reflecting how much money you have in that account right now, today. And then that starting balance is automatically categorized as ready to assign. So what that ready to assign does is it feeds that amount into ready to assign in the plan. So I've got $3,140 in my checking account. I've got $3,140 in my ready to assign. And like I said, when you have money in ready to assign, that kicks off the YNAB method. Now it is your job to give a job to every single dollar that you have. You might be looking at your categories thinking, hey, that's a lot of things that my money could do. And you're like, well, I probably don't have enough to fund everything. So how do I actually prioritize the money in ready to assign? That's where the 5 questions come in. We have 5 questions for you to walk through to help you to figure out what each and every dollar needs to do. So I'm going to walk through these quickly, and then we're going to take those questions back to the plan and give a job to every single dollar. And there's 5 questions, but you do not have to ask them in any single order. And you do not have to ask all of them. You know, maybe right away there's just 2 questions you ask. Then with your next paycheck, it's another question. Maybe sometimes you will go through all 5. Totally up to you. The purpose of these questions is to help you consider everything. So let's start with the reality question. Like I said, you don't have to ask these in any particular order, but I often start with the reality question. What does this money need to do before I'm paid again? Because this question addresses the necessities, the things that you have to pay for right now, your monthly bills, your monthly expenses like food, gas, things like that. The next question, what larger or less frequent spending do I need to prepare for? This is the stability question. And the purpose here is to get us thinking a little bit outside of that monthly constraint. So what's all the other stuff that I spend money on that I maybe don't spend money on every single month? You know, this is that annual car insurance premium that we talked about, the 3-month water bill. It's also things like car repairs, medical bills, vet bills. With those things, we don't know when they're going to happen and we don't know how much they're going to be. So what we want to do with all of these non-monthly bills and expenses is break them down into monthly bills. We want to treat them like a monthly bill and set a little bit aside every single month. That way, when they happen, we're ready. We have money. We can actually pay for that bill or expense. There's no scrambling. There's no pulling from savings. We don't have to put on a credit card and figure out that plan going forward. The resilience question, what can I set aside for next month's spending? So now we've considered the monthlies. We are starting to think about those non-monthlies. The resilience question has us thinking about next month? What can I do to get out in front of next month's bills and expenses? What this is going to do is build resilience. It's going to put a lot of breathing room in your spending plan, because what it actually does is it puts time between when you were paid and when you spend that money. And the ultimate goal with this resilience question is to get that full 1 month ahead. So on the first of every single month, you look at your next month and you can see that that plan is fully funded. Once you get to that point, you're going to have resilience like you've never had before. You're going to be away from that financial edge and you're going to sleep better at night. Now, this question, you're going to ask it paycheck after paycheck after paycheck, but it might take you a long time to get that full month ahead. That is normal. That is totally okay. And you might be thinking, well, I could never do that. Right? I can barely get a month ahead on my Netflix bill, but you will. You can get there. Just keep following that method. Give every dollar a job. Walk through the questions, paycheck after paycheck after paycheck, and you're going to get further and further ahead until eventually you get to that point where, boom, on the first, you look at YNAB and you're like, I'm fully funded. And then there's the creation question. What goals, large or small, do I want to prioritize? This is about creating the life that you want to live. Money is not just to be used to pay the bills and those expenses. It's about using it for something fun, something that it matters to you. It's about lining up your money with your priorities. And I love that we say large or small. It doesn't have to be something big, like I want to save $100,000 for a down payment on a house. It could be something really, really small, like, you know what? I just want $5 every single month for donuts. So definitely be thinking about what are those things that really matter to me and make sure they're represented in your plan. And then finally, the flexibility question. What changes do I need to make, if any? I love this question, and so many YNABers love this question as well, because nothing has to be perfect. Nothing is set in stone. With this flexibility question, you can change your plan at any time for any reason. Meaning, if you realized, oh, I didn't set enough money aside for this priority, you can change that. You can take money out of some other category and put it in that other category. Or you can take money out. It's your money. You get to do what you want. So there they are, the 5 questions. Again, they do not need to be asked in any particular order. And you do not need to go through all of them. Their purpose is to help you. So use them however you want. All right, let's take those 5 questions. Let's head back to the web app and let's give a job to each and every dollar. So I'm going to start with the reality question. What does this money need to do before I'm paid again? And let's say my paycheck isn't coming for about 2 weeks. We'll say, what's today? The 19th? Yes, the 19th. I'm getting paid on May 30th. So I'm going to focus on assigning money to all those categories that I know I'm going to be spending from between now and the 30th. So let's start at the top here. Mortgage, I need $1,600 by May 1st. Well, I paid my mortgage 2.5 weeks ago. So there's no need for me to take some of these available dollars and put them towards an expense and a bill that's already happened. So I'm just going to ignore that category this month, not going to assign anything. And if it drives you nuts to see that yellow, which I totally get, I'm with you, you can snooze those targets. So you're not getting that yellow reminder. So what I've done is I've selected my mortgage category. Over here in the target menu, I'm going to click snooze target for the month. So now that target is taking a nice little nap for the rest of May. And you can see the information in the category goes away and it's no longer yellow. And then in June, that's when the target wakes up and it resumes its job of reminding me to set aside $1,600 by June 1st. So let's snooze the mortgage. Let's also snooze the internet because I paid that bill on the 7th. I paid my electric bill just a couple days ago, so I don't need to plan for that. Perfect. Now here's something I can't snooze. Phone. I pay my phone bill on the 21st and I need $140. So to prepare for this, I'm going to take $140 out of my ready to assign at the top, assign that directly to my phone category. Now I'm 140 less up top here, and you can see I'm 140 more in the category. So now the end of second guessing. I can see with clarity and with confidence, I've got $140 available to pay my phone bill. And the other thing that's going on, the categories turn green. So it's like I've got that green light to go ahead and pay that bill. I could sign into my account right now, pay it. And again, there's no second guessing there. I've got that confidence. I've got that clarity. So the way I look at these available numbers of all the money that I have, of all $3,140 sitting in my checking account, 140 of those are set aside for my phone bill. Let's keep going. Let's keep setting aside money for other bills that I'm paying for between now and that next paycheck. Student loan. So that's due on the 25th. I need 225 to pay that. So I assign 225. Now I've got 225 available. The purpose of that 225, pay my student loan. Auto loan, 375 that I have to send to the bank on the 28th. Enter, assign 375. Now I have $375 available to spend. Now I can see I've got money set aside to pay that. And actually, this feels good. Now I can see I've got money set aside to pay the last 3 bills of the month. So again, I have this clarity around what my money's doing. I've got money set aside for those last 3 bills, and I still have $2,400. They're wondering, Ernie, what do you want us to do for you? Well, I need to buy some groceries. Now, in this case, I don't need a full $800. I'm over halfway through the month. I've been to the grocery store numerous times. So what do I need to get me through the rest of the month? I don't know. I'll take a guess. 400, and we'll see how that feels. Remember, nothing has to be perfect here. You don't have to get anything right. If a week or even a day into this plan, you're like, oh, that's too much money or that's too little, you can always change things around. You can move money in and out of those categories as needed. But we'll start with 400 and we'll see how that feels. Same thing with eating out. I don't need the full 300. Maybe I do 150. That gives me 75 for this Friday, 75 for the next Friday. That feels good. Transportation, don't need the full 200. I think I can get away with $100. Now, in these categories, the money is available to spend. The only difference is the categories have remained yellow. And you can spend from these categories, even though they're yellow. The yellow is just that reminder that, hey, the next time I'm paid, I might want to add more money to hit those target amounts. But I started this plan halfway through the month. So I know I'm not going to hit that target amount, and that is okay. There's no harm moving into that next month. And if you want, like we did with the other categories, is you can snooze those categories for the remaining of the current month. But I'm just going to leave them yellow. Doesn't bother me. Okay, what else do I need that money to do between now and the next paycheck? I'm going to give myself $100 of fun for fun, and Christy gets the same amount. So there we go. Oh, credit cards. let's see, I pay both of these cards on the 24th. Yeah, so these credit card payments are going to be due between now and that next paycheck. So let's get ready for these. Visa, this is my pay in full card. So I want to make sure that I've accounted for every dollar that I've currently spent using my credit card. So that means I need to assign $150. And once I assign that money, now I can see of all the money in my checking account, 150 of those dollars are set aside to pay back Visa. So now I've got the exact amount, my payment number, it matches my balance. I owe 150, I have $150 set aside for my next payment. And again, for those of you that have that pay in full card, this is, you pay it down to zero or you're paying that statement balance. This is what you want. You want that payment number to match that balance. So we're good to go with the Visa. Let's go to the Discover, because on the 24th of May, I need to send Discover $300. And that's what my target is. So assign that amount, and there we go. So no more second guessing. Now I know I can pay the Visa all the way down to zero, and I can make my monthly payment with Discover. Okay, so where do we stand? I've got $3,140 in my checking account, and I can see I have money set aside to pay my last 3 monthly bills. I've got money set aside for my groceries, restaurants, and gas, and I've got some fun money set aside for me and Christy, and then I've got money set aside to pay those 2 credit card companies. So if things are good between now and the next paycheck, I've got $1,100 remaining. So what else do I need that money to do? Now I'm going to move on to the stability question. I'm going to think through, what are those larger or less frequent things that I spend money on? So let's just go through and see if we can fund everything. Auto maintenance, I need $150. There we go. Now I've got $150 set aside for car repairs. Car insurance, perfect. So now YNAB's telling me I'm on track. Remember, the car insurance, that's due in October. So I won't be spending that $200 in May. So here's what happens in June. It automatically rolls over. In June, I put another 200 in. Now I have 400 available. So month after month, as I keep putting money into that category, again, I watch as that category balance grows. And then the best part, come October, if I've stayed on track, I'm going to have $1,200 just sitting there waiting and ready to go. But let me take that money out because I'm not quite ready to make a plan for June. Let's get through May 1st. All right, $100 clothing, $125 gifts and holidays. Now, if you don't like going category by category and entering those amounts, the other thing you can do is you can select multiple categories. And then over here on the right, we have these auto assign features. The underfunded button, the first thing it's going to do, it's going to tell me how much money is required for those 6 categories. So $480. And then if you have enough, and I do, I've got 525 available. If I want to assign money to all those with one click, now I can just hit that underfunded button. And then YNAB assigns those target amounts. And like I said, it speeds up the assigning process. So you can do it however you want. Generally, when I'm assigning money, it's a combination of the two. Sometimes there's a group of categories. Yeah, I just want to do these all at once. And there's other categories. I like assigning those individual amounts myself. Okay. So now we're down to $45. So of all that money that's sitting in my checking account right now, I can see I've got money set aside to cover the monthlies, cover my credit card bills, payments, and money set aside, starting to be set aside for those non-monthlies. So I'm starting to get ready for those. So that last 45, I've got some options here. You know, maybe I add a little bit more to groceries or something fun like eating out. You know, I could put it towards the non-monthlies. I could also, you know, start asking that resilience question. Do I want to take that $45 and start setting it aside for next month's, for June's expenses? Am I getting a little bit ahead there? I could do that. Or maybe I put it towards something fun, one of those larger or smaller goals that I have. I think I'll do that. It's not a whole lot of money, but I could do $25 towards the new roof, $15 towards that upcoming vacation, and then $5 towards that indoor putting green. And then if I change my mind later on, no problem. I can take money out and I can put it somewhere else. Remember, this is not set in stone. Everything is flexible. Okay. So there we go. I have myself a spending plan now. And I know that because my ready to assign is all the way down to zero. What this means is I have given a job to every single dollar in my checking account. And what I've done is I've removed all the second guessing. When I look at that bank balance, I don't have to think, what does that money need to do? Or if I go out to eat this Friday, am I going to have enough to pay my auto loan bill or my student loan later on in the month? Now I've given a job to every single dollar. So I can rely on these available balances. And that's what you're going to learn to do in YNAB. You're going to no longer rely on that account balance. You're going to rely on what you have in the available column. So a quick example. I'm going to the grocery store. In the past, I might have looked at my checking account balance, done some mental math, and basically taken a guess. Of that $3,140, here's about how much I have available to spend on groceries. There's a lot of second guessing going on with that approach. But now, since I've given a job to every single dollar, now I just look at what I have available in groceries. I've got $400. So now I know exactly what's going on. I've got up to $400 that I can spend at the grocery store, knowing that I still have all this other money that's set aside for my other bills, my other expenses, my other dreams and priorities. All right, friends, there's the finished product. And then I'm just going to repeat that process of giving jobs to my dollars the next time I'm paid. But before we get to that next paycheck, let's walk through some other things that you're going to run into right away in YNAB. Let's talk about spending. I want to show you what spending does to both your accounts and to the categories. And I'll show you this on mobile, and I'll also show you a little bit of credit card spending as well. So let's start by paying the phone bill. So I look at my category. I've got $140 available to pay that bill. Perfect. I log into my cell phone provider. I make that payment there. Now in YNAB, I'm going to come back and I'm going to record that spending. So let's say I used my debit card to pay the phone bill. I'm going to hit this add transaction button in my checking register. And I'm adding this myself because I don't have a linked account. So payee, that is who I gave the money to. And I always say Verizon, probably just because that's who I use. The amount, that is an outflow, $140. And then for those of you that have a linked account, here's what it looks like when YNAB imports those transactions. YNAB brings in the payee. YNAB brings in the amount. So all you need to do is categorize. You just need to tell YNAB where to take that $140 from in your plan. And I want to take the money from my phone category because I have $140 available. I set aside $140 for this exact purpose. Select that category, save, and there we go. So now with that transaction, YNAB reflects my new account balance. I've got $3,000 left in my checking. And then when I go to the plan, YNAB updates my phone category. Let's break down this category. Assigned. That is what I put into the category. I put in $140. Activity is what I spent. That's the money that came out. And then available is what I have going forward. And in this case, I don't have any money. And that's exactly where I wanted to end. I wanted to assign the amount that I plan to spend to pay that bill, and then I'll repeat the process all over in June. All right, let's hop over to mobile. Let's do a little bit more spending. Oh, nice. And everything is already synced over from the web app. Let's go grocery shopping. So I look at my groceries category. I have $400 available. Let's say I go to Costco and I spend $225. Actually, let me cancel that. I went through that pretty quickly. At the bottom here, I'm going to hit that plus transaction button. I'm going to enter in the amount of money I spent, $225. I gave that money to Costco. I spent it from my checking account. Looks good. I hit that save button. And I just want to show you what it looks like when transactions import and you're using the mobile app. So on the plan tab, if I go to Spotlight, YNAB's telling me I have one transaction to review. Tap there. That transaction is showing me that I need to categorize this, right? I need to tell YNAB where to take that $225 from that I spent at Costco. So I'm going to tap on category, find groceries. There we go. Save. And then I love that. In the mobile app, YNAB is going to update that category balance right there in front of you. So you know exactly what you have moving forward. And then I can always tap categories on the plan tab and I can see where I'm at, what I have remaining. So groceries moving forward, I have 175 that I can spend there the rest of the month. Excellent. All right, back to the web app. And let's do some credit card spending in the web app. Let's spend on gas here. I've got $100 available. That's more than enough for a tank of gas. And I'm just going to keep things really easy. I'm going to stay at Costco. And so let's say I spent $40 to fill up the minivan. Payee, I gave that money to Costco gas, categorized to transportation, spent $40. Okay, so now with that spending on my Visa, YNAB reflects my balance going up. Now I owe Visa $190. And then in my plan, let's go to the transportation category. There's the 100 I put in. There's the $40 that I just spent. And if you want to click on that activity, you can see a breakdown of all the spending you've done in that category that month. And then moving forward, I have $60 to spend on gas for the rest of the month. Okay, so very straightforward. That's exactly what happens when you spend on your debit card from your checking account. Remember, this is spending that I did on a credit card. So there's one other step that YNAB needs to do, because when I spent using that credit card, money didn't actually leave my cash account, right? I still have the same exact amount of money in my checking account as I did before. So knowing this, once YNAB takes money out of the spending category, it moves it automatically to the credit card payment category. So now you can see I have $190 available to send to Visa. I've got the $150 that I assigned to myself. That was to account for that balance I brought into YNAB. And then it's the $40 of new spending that YNAB automatically moved for me. And for YNAB to move the dollars from the spending category to the payment category, you do have to make sure that the money is available. So if I didn't have any money available, I'm going to unassign that 100. So now I've overspent this category. YNAB doesn't have anything to move, so it doesn't. But once I assign money back to the category, then YNAB has dollars available. It can take those dollars out of the spending category and move them to the payment category. And this is just a very quick demonstration of credit card spending in this getting started video. Again, make sure you watch that full credit card breakdown video that I've done. That's going to show you all the ins and outs of using credit cards in YNAB. Okay, perfect. Let's walk through a little bit of overspending. So, what happens? What does it look like when you spend more money that is available in a category? Where can we do this? Let's do another grocery trip. Maybe we fast forward time even. A week later, I've got $175 available, and let's go to the grocery store this time. And let's say at the grocery store, I spend 190. Okay, so now $190 is showing leaving my checking account. And then in the plan, here's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this negative category balance, and it's red. What this means is I spent more than what was available in the category. Doesn't mean I did anything wrong. Doesn't mean I'm bad at managing my money. Just more money left that category than what was available. So now what I need to do is pay that category back. And I recommend paying those categories back as soon as you can, because when there's overspent categories, what that actually means is you cannot trust any of the other category balances, right? Do I actually have 225 set aside for my student loan payment or 375 set aside for that car payment? Well, I'm not sure, because I know I need to take some money from some categories to pay back the groceries. So until I actually do that, these category balances are a little squishy. So let's correct that. I just need to find $15 from somewhere else. I could take it from one category. I could take it from a number of categories. Totally up to you. And in this case, I'm just looking through these available balances and I'm seeing where I have some flexibility. Maybe there's a category where I'm like, oh, I've got a little bit more in there than what I need. Or, hey, I have some leftover in this category. Or maybe I don't need all of that money there right now at this moment. For me, I'm looking at stuff I forgot, especially in my first month of YNAB. I'm going to have some sort of category like this because this is going to be a super helpful category. There will be things you forget about. There will be, you will underestimate how much money you need for certain things. Having this some sort of stuff I forgot or miscellaneous category will be super helpful. I have $50 available. I'm going to use 15 of those to pay back the groceries. So all I need to do in the web app is I could just click on that overspent amount, cover this overspending with, find my stuff I forgot category, select it, and then just hit OK. And once I do that, YNAB would take $15 out of stuff I forgot, and it would reassign that $15 to groceries. But I'm going to hop over to the mobile app, and I want to show you how to do it over there. I'm going to tap on Spotlight. I love having Spotlight, my default view when I open up YNAB, because it tells me everything that I need to know. It tells me when I have overspending. It tells me when I have new money that needs to be assigned. It tells me when I have category or transactions that need to be categorized. I can list my priorities at the top if I want. In this case, I'm just going to tap cover overspent category. That's the one I have. Tap there. And now where am I going to take that from? So just scrolling through that list. Let's take from stuff I forgot. Okay, so here's where I know, here's where I'm going to stand once I pay that category back. I'll have 0 in groceries and I'll have 35 in stuff I forgot. That sounds good. Hit done. And then YNAB makes that adjustment for me. If I go back to my categories, there's the stuff I forgot category. I'm $15 less there. And groceries, now that negative 15 is gone, right? I'm back to 0. So I paid that category back. So now I'm back to a place where I can trust all those individual available to spend amounts. let's talk about adding a paycheck. We'll fast forward time. Let's say it's May 30th now, and I just got paid. So in my checking account, since I don't have a linked account, I'm going to hit this add transaction button. Payee, this is going to be the name of your employer or the source of your income. My employer is YNAB. And then the amount I was paid is going to be entered as an inflow, $1,800. Now, for those of you that have a linked account, here's what that will look like. YNAB brings in the payee, which you can always edit if you want. YNAB will bring in the amount, which unfortunately you can't edit. That is what it is, right? And then the category for income is always going to be ready to assign. And that is conveniently right at the top. Select that. So there we go. So now with that paycheck in my checking account register, YNAB is reflecting a brand new $1,800 there. And then in the plan, YNAB's reflecting a brand new $1,800 in ready to assign. So it's right back to the YNAB method. I just got this brand new $1,800. What am I going to do with that money? I'm telling each and every dollar, here's what you need to do for me before I actually start spending you. So, reality. What are the necessities I need to pay for? I've got those covered. Now, actually, maybe I want to put a little bit of money in groceries. I've already spent all my grocery dollars for the month, but maybe I go between now and the last day of the month. You never know. So I'll put $50 in there and no harm done if I don't spend that money. Because like I've said, it automatically will roll over into June. And then I can use whatever's left over in June for groceries. Or maybe at the end of the month, I could move that money somewhere else. But I'm going to be on the safe side. I'm going to put $50 aside there. Eating out. No, that's good. Gas. Yeah, I think we're good there too. So I've got the monthlies covered, got the credit cards covered. Perfect. Stability. Do I want to use any of that new money for my non-monthlies? Well, maybe I put it $15. Maybe I fill that category back up again, right? Just because I know it's going to be useful going forward. Again, these are your priorities. So this is your decision making. I'm just kind of walking through how I would handle that new paycheck. And then the goals, I'm going to hold off on those. I know I've got a savings account that I haven't added yet, and that's the money I'm going to use to fund those particular categories. So I think my May plan is really good, but I've got a whole lot of money left over. So now I'm going to start thinking about next month. And next month is only a couple days away, but I'm going to start making a plan for what that is actually going to be used for in June. So let's flip forward to the June plan. Now notice in June, any money that has not been spent at this point, it automatically rolls over and is available to spend in June. We've talked about that. The one thing we haven't talked about is, notice this, the assigned column has completely reset to 0. That throws a lot of new YNABers off because they're expecting the assigned number to roll over. They're thinking, well, I set aside $140 for my phone bill last month. I want to set aside the same amount. But remember, with YNAB, you're only working with the money you have right now. We're not forecasting future paychecks. So the assigned will always reset to 0. And then as that money becomes available, then you can assign it. Then you can allocate it to those individual categories. So in June, what's my first priority? It's the June 1st mortgage. That's $1,600, and that's my biggest expense. So that's going to take most of that money. But that's okay because it feels good now to know that I have money set aside to cover that June 1st mortgage. $135 left. I can cover the internet. And then electric, I don't have enough to fund that category all the way, but I can get a head start, $55. And so then with the next paycheck that Christy and I receive in June, then I will assign $145 to get me to the 200 that I need. But I don't have to remember that because YNAB, it's remembering it for me. That's why that category is yellow. That's that reminder to set aside 145 the next time Christy or I is paid. Okay, so now that ready to assign is right back down to zero. So now I'm building some resilience. I'm building some breathing room in this plan. Yes, I've got money to spend and cover the rest of the things that I need to cover this month in May. And then yes, I also have money set aside for those June 1st, those beginning of the month expenses in June. And then the goal with that resilience question, like we've talked about, like I've talked about just very briefly actually, is to eventually become fully funded on the first. So as soon as I pop over to that new plan, all my categories are totally funded. But that's not going to happen overnight. This is something that it's going to maybe take me 6 months, 12 months, maybe even longer. But eventually I know I'm going to get there. Even being ahead on just 2 of those bills, that feels different, right? So if you can get ahead on just 1 bill, that is a huge win for you. And then you just keep building it out category by category until, like I said, you get to that point where you're ahead on all your bills, all your expenses, all your non-monthlies. On the first, you wake up, that your categories are fully funded, and life just feels different. The other thing I want to show you, if I go back to May, over here in the bottom right, assigned in future months. This has given me a snapshot of what's going on in those future months. Because I'm not going to be flipping back and forth as I'm using YNAB throughout the week, but I can see, okay, I've got all this money set aside for May, but I also got $1,735 set aside for June. So I know that $4,385 in my checking account, some of that money's for this month in May. And then some of that money is also for that next month in June. And as I keep getting further and further ahead in that next month, I can watch as that pie chart fills up. So you can kind of gauge your progress in getting that month ahead. Okay. One final demo. You're probably wondering, what do I do about my savings? Let's add them. And you can link your savings if you want. Absolutely. Let's say I have 3,000 in my savings account. Just like the dollars in your checking account, YNAB is going to feed your savings into ready to assign. So I've got $3,000 in my savings account. When I click plan, I've now got $3,000 in ready to assign. And this might freak you out at first because you're thinking, wait, I don't want to spend my savings. I don't want to use my savings on Chipotle or the mortgage, the electric bill, and I'm with you there. So what you want to do to protect your savings dollars is figure out exactly what you're saving for. You create categories for those priorities, and then you simply assign the money there. That's going to make sure that that money doesn't get used for anything else. And I recommend getting as specific as you can. Now, maybe at first you're like, I don't know what I'm actually saving for. That's okay. Create just a savings category, put the money there. But then over time, you might start getting a better idea. Oh, here's what I actually want to save for. Here's how I want to use this money. Then you can create more specific categories and move it there. So here's what I'm saving for: new roof, vacation, and putting green. So let's see here. New roof, I need $369.74, but I want to get a head start on this. I've already assigned $25 there. Let's put another $2,000 in. Take 2 on that. And that's super helpful. You got that undo button. You can always go back in time. That's available on mobile as well. I'm going to assign 2,000. So now with that 2,000, I've got 2,025. Because remember, I signed 25. That was from a paycheck that I did a little bit earlier. And so now I know, okay, that money that's in my savings account, 2,000 of those dollars are in the new roof category. I'm not going to spend that at Chipotle. I'm not going to use that on the mortgage. It's in that new roof category. YNAB's going to protect it. $1,000 left. Maybe I've already assigned 15. Let's put in another 400. So now I've saved 415 for that upcoming vacation. And then that putting green, I've already set aside 5. Let's do another 50. So now I've signed a total of $55. So now a good chunk of those savings dollars are protected because I've assigned them to specific categories. The money's going to stay there. To show you this, I move forward to June. The money's still there. All right, so you won't have to reassign your savings dollars every single month. And now in June and all subsequent months, I can assign more. I can save more. But I'm not done here. I still have $550 left over. So what else am I saving for? Well, I'm saving for car repairs. And I do have one older vehicle, 150. That might not be enough if something were to happen today. Let's put another $100 in there. Home maintenance. Boy, things always go wrong with the home. Let's put another 200 there. Gifts and holidays. Yeah, they're coming up fast. I haven't set anything aside between January and April. Maybe I just double that. All right, so now I have 250 available. So that feels a lot better. What else? I'm down to 125. Maybe I put 50 more dollars in medical. So now I've saved $175 for medical bills, and then I'll put that last 75 in the vet category. And we'll just see how this feels. Again, nothing is set in stone. That does not mean that is how I have to spend that money. But I think right now, based on where I'm at, that allocation feels pretty good. So now my ready to assign is back down to 0. Now I know that all my money, not just my checking dollars, now my savings dollars as well, they also have jobs. I told that money, here's exactly what you need to do for me. So now moving forward, again, I'm relying on this available column to guide my spending decisions and to guide my other financial decisions. I have something coming up. How am I going to be able to pay for this? I look to see what I have available in categories. And if I have enough, perfect. I can spend without second guessing. If I don't have enough, well, what do I need to change? Can I make a change? Do I actually want to make that change? Is that trade-off worth it to me? But those are questions that you can ask yourself and answer along the way. At this point, my job is done. Hopefully, I've walked through how to set up YNAB. We've covered a lot of topics here, and my hope is you feel a lot more confident using both the app and the method. If you want a great video to watch next, I'm going to recommend it here on the end screen. It's Hannah's 4 key steps to a solid YNAB routine. Hannah's going to walk through, once you have it set up, how do you actually use YNAB in your everyday life? All right, friends, take care and happy YNABing, and I'll definitely see you in another video.